Has he done anything that has given y'all doubt in terms of his judgment and his decision making and leadership?
Oh gosh, no. He's way exceeded any expectation I have.
Oh, so I'm right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm saying that beforehand.
See
I think
this?
that's two different. Wow, he loves to
See
be
this?
right.
I know.
You guys are both egotistical narcissists. I'm just kidding.
Oh, no. Let's step right into that since you brought it up. Because how many times has a woman said a man is a narcissist?
Because he always has to be right?
No, because a narcissistic
let's
personality disorder.
drill down on that.
Narcissistic personality disorder is a diagnosable thing that they can diagnose you with, and it's a very small percentage of people who are actually diagnosed with it, but everyone has narcissistic tendencies.
Of course
just
they do.
like you do.
Absolutely.
But anytime a man does it, you're like, oh, he's a narcissist.
Actually, my
Amen.
husband is not a narcissist.
I am actually.
I'm saying, since you're the woman in the room,
I just
had a
women
joke.
do that.
Yeah, they do.
I'm a
sure.
recovered narcissist.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Oh, no. I believe that most people who don't know
I
Jesus
was full blown
lean towards narcissism.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they were trying to tell me that my first rehab I went to in 1999. I was still a stockbroker.
Wait, I seriously just heard 1899. You said 1999.
It
right?
felt like 1899.
Okay.
Wow, Nick.
I heard that in my brain. I'm like, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
You always hear wrong.
People don't live that long.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and it was a well-funded, pretty thorough rehabilitation center in Southern Utah. And, and the counselor there, after spending some time with me, suggested that I had some strong narcissistic personality disorder going on. Of course, I absolutely knew she didn't know what she was talking about.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Do you know what her observation was? Her observations?
You know, I don't think, actually it was her and then the director of the facility, who I actually became pretty good friends with, and I told her a story about him, said the same thing, you know.
Are you talking about like behaviors? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
about?
behaviors.
Yeah, just certain type of behaviors.
Yes, yeah. I was a high level intellectual and emotional manipulator.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And everything was a performance.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, everything was a performance, and that performance was based on I needed a result. In our interaction, I went into that interaction already knowing where I was going to drive it for the result I wanted. You know, and I mean, fill in the blank.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Were you consciously aware of your methods when
that's
it
a
would
good
come to
question.
manipulating people or whatever? Did you?
It just became me.
part of who-
That was my identity.
But you have to go back-
because I had no identity. See,
Yeah. You had no identity in Christ.
So what the only identity I had is what you thought of me, what you thought of me, and what she thought of me. So if going back to 1999, if we were in this setting, I already would have tried to peg how I needed to interact with you,
Wow.
and interact with her to get the result I needed, which was I needed to feel confident that you guys felt a certain way about me.
Okay.
That would make me okay.
It's a lot of. That's
I was a chameleon.
It does. It
I was
sounds
a,
just-
That's exhausting. But
I go to sleep for a day after this.
I,
conversation.
Yeah,
Nick,
it
Nick
was-
and Nick,
it
you
was
gotta go back
exhausting.
to. You
It
have
was
to go back
exhausting.
to
Yeah.
the trauma that he endured as a child, which
What
is
caused
like.
it? Like, let
Well,
him down
I
that
mean,
path.
and we're talking major trauma, not just like when he told me his story. Everything he had been through made sense to me, and it's he went through so much as a young person. What usually, and I've worked in trauma, is that what happens is you want to control everything because you were so out of control as a child. Anybody
makes
that's
sense.
gone through major abuse, I went through my own trauma, my own sexual abuse. He had sexual abuse. We both we've gone through a lot of the same things, but nothing that I went through compares to what he went through.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and not to go into a lot of detail on that, but I just want to clarify that because it explains a lot of the journey of his life.
It
And
didn't
you
come
read
from
it,
nowhere.
you saw what
Yeah.
he
Oh, yeah.
went through,
Yeah.
and that was he only touched the surface in the book.
I can imagine.
Touched the surface, yeah.
Why didn't you talk about the nitty gritty in the book? Like, if you just searched, why didn't you?
I would say
People
he
can't
did.
Oh yeah.
but
Well, they're saying that they just touched the surface.
I
Nick.
don't.
I'm
I
asking
don't
the
know.
question.
I have no cross reference.
I touched on it, but I have an answer for that.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
And first and foremost, I have a mom who I love dearly.
Got it.
And she was born from her own trials. Had my sister and me before she was 20. Had my sister at 16. Had me she just turned 19 from different dads. My sisters, she was a poor farm girl from Idaho. You know,
Got it.
12 brothers or 9 brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And my sister's father got killed in a car accident when my mom was 8 months pregnant with her. Had my sister went back to high school. Think about the time that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You know, that was just kind of not a real common thing. Met my dad and had me. Okay, and then he got put in prison when I was a baby, and I never saw him.
Right.
Okay, point being is I wanted to be careful not to draw the wrong picture, because here's the truth of the matter. Regardless of all the horror show that I experienced as a kid,
Yeah.
I also experienced some of the most joyful. I loved being a kid, and I always knew that I had a mom who loved me, would care for me, would walk over broken glass for me. I just didn't want to paint the picture that she somehow had failed me, because she didn't. You know, she was right there in the muck
She
with
was doing
me.
what she
Yep.
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Talking to the mic, Michelle.
His mother is amazing.
Yeah.
She was doing what she could do. I was a single mom, and
Yeah.
there's so many things when you don't have. I mean, that's the breakdown of our culture, right? The balance is a man and a woman raising their children, because
Yeah.
what the woman's not seeing, the husband's seeing. When you don't have that, I didn't have that. My kids and I, my youngest son was 5, my oldest was 10 when my kid's dad left, and so here we are, and I'm having to raise them by themselves. You're just surviving.
Yeah.
You know, there is no like making now. Out
And
of all the moms,
you're probably terrified.
out of you are.
yeah.
There's nights where I just sit there going, I don't know how I'm going to make take care of the. And they all went to great Christian schools, and they
Yeah.
grew up in a good. But here's the thing: is that out of all the moms, I'm the only one that was following up all the time. I mean, not all of them, but for the most part, I would find that I was the mom knowing where my kids were all the time,
Yeah.
making sure that they were okay. And because we do live in a culture where a lot of that's been abandoned, where you're making sure your kids. Now, I think we've come back to doing that because of what's
Yeah.
happened with all the stuff that's come out now. But anyway, I just wanted to say that his mom is awesome. But I also wanted to clarify and make sure you guys knew. And I know you read the book, Nick. Nick's
Thank you,
going
by
to
the
read
way,
the
for reading my book.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sending it to me.
I didn't have a
about,
copy, so.
about what he went through.
The audio
Because
book will be
a lot of what he went through was a result of a lot of the decisions he made
Yeah.
as a young person, and then into
Yeah.
adulthood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, when I say it seems nitty gritty to me, I understand that when you are writing about the characters around you that orbit you in your life, your mother, your siblings, whatever, you want to pull back to preserve image, and you want to do all that. You know, you want to paint the proper image that you want painted. But when you talk about yourself as the way in the way that only you were affected by some of the dreams that you had and some of the experiences you had, it hit pretty nitty gritty.
When I talk about the 2 crazy stepdads, we could sit here all day, and I could tell you story after story after story.
Wow.
And what's crazy, for whatever reason, God gave me this brain that I'm actually able to replay it almost in real time, smell the smells, see the visuals.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. I got a pretty kooky memory in some respects. You know,
I'm sure that drives her nuts.
it does.
In the
Yeah.
argument.
because dude,
tell you.
I love to build cases, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's the best judge.
And when I start stacking up the evidence,
right.
for
There you
it,
go.
it's time
He's
for the
right.
hammer to drop.
The gavel.
I'll drop the hammer on her, and then I'll start spitting out facts and memory. And she's like, "How do you even remember
No,
that?"
I'm like, I don't remember any of that.
Oh,
but,
yeah, yeah.
but the thing about him,
I'm like, "Honey, it
I
was
wanna
9 months ago. Of course I remember.
He
It was
is-
only 9 months ago."
say, we have come a long way.
Okay.
Like, he does.
Yes.
That
Yes, we
was
have.
like very
Yes.
common in the beginning.
Yeah.
And God, when we first got together, and I think we put this in the book, but the Lord told me, don't put your hands on him.
Ooh.
Let,
yeah.
let me
Yeah.
be the one to to discipline and teach
Mm-hmm.
and educate James when it
Wow.
comes to me.
Yeah.
And that was good for me to hear, because I would have been in there doing
Mm-hmm.
that, because just naturally I've been in the Lord since I was 20.
Yeah.
He's been in the Lord, a few years. So I would have naturally, honey, don't do that to my nails.
Oh,
'cause
sorry.
You're going to ruin them.
Yep.
It's a toy. It's a toy thing. I want to play with it. I want to play
I'll
it.
fidget.
But anyway, I'm so blown away, because it's, and this just is a testament to Jesus.
Yeah.
When you come to know him, when you truly surrender your life, he can radically change you in ways that you could never change yourself. And
Yeah.
God has been my advocate. But I'll literally be praying, Lord, please let him see this. And he'll come to me the next day and he's like, as I was praying this morning, God showed me this. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
wow.
True
well,
story.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
true story.
That's all. And I just try to downplay it. That's really cool. I'm just really, I will tell you, I've been around being in ministry, and Nick, growing up in the church.
Oh, yeah.
Being in ministry as long as I have, being around some of the greatest Christian leaders in the world. I'm telling you, James is one of the most educated, the most humble in a lot of ways, and also the most passionate and on fire for God of any man I have ever known.
Love
I'm
that.
not just
Well,
saying
thank
that.
you.
I tell him that all the time. It blows me away, because
Yeah.
he's
It-
consistent.
It blows me away to hear that about myself, to be honest.
I'm sure
well,
it does.
that's the
Yeah.
humility coming
Yeah.
out, which is
Yeah.
you know that you have the Holy Spirit residing in you, because you're a prideful person or a narcissistic person would be like, of course,
They wouldn't hear it.
You know?
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly who I am. But you're like, that's weird.